Who is going to save America from moral and spiritual collapse? It won't be Republicans. It won't be conservatives. It won't be Donald Trump. Saving America is going to require a caliber of Christian men we have not seen in over a century. Men of such conviction that they're willing to put their necks out for our nation to fight against feminism, mass immigration, homosexuality, abortion, pornography, immodesty, Islam, Hinduism, and Judaism. Men who will work to repeal the 19th Amendment and deport millions of pagan foreigners. Men who are not fazed by scarecrow terms like racist or bigot or misogynist. Sadly, these are going to be men that most modern Christians will despise and reject. Weak pastors are going to call them false teachers and extremists. Women will call them unloving and harsh. Some will be excommunicated from cowardly churches and denominations. And a few will even be assassinated. They will be like the prophets of old, misunderstood and reviled in their day, but vindicated by history. Very few Americans understand what is required to recover this nation. It'll be painful. It'll be required for sacrifice. It'll be required to have faithfulness. It'll require prayer and coalition. It'll also require self-control and class. We cannot stoop to the foolishness of the world. We cannot use the vulgarity of the world. Paul says in 2 Corinthians 10, 4-5, "For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty in God, for pulling down strongholds, casting down arguments, and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, bringing every thought into captivity to the obedience of Christ." Most of this fight will simply be a willingness to speak the truth, whether that's condemning sin or proclaiming the gospel. But polite and quiet Christianity must die, and these faithful men of old must return, and fast.
Absolutely, 100% true. Welcome to the J.J. Carrell Show. That was Dale Partridge. I love his stuff. He doesn't pull any punches. I love men that just shoot straight. That's it. All the time for fluff is over. And he is right. The quiet, soft, gentle Christianity, that's dead. It died a long time ago. And in its place will be praying that it will be powerful, strong men. Powerful in faith, powerful physically, powerful spiritually, powerful intellectually. However, with all that being said, the other side are filled with Satan. And if you think the other side, the enemy, is going to just lay down and take it when they were so damn close to taking over the United States of America completely, you think they're just going to give up? The answer is no. It's going to be a war. It's going to be violent. It's going to be nasty. And it's going to be for no one with a faint of heart, no one that does not have absolute convictions of their beliefs in God, in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and our freedoms will survive. They will not. Look, you have people that still have scars from being bullied or ridiculed in elementary school, middle school, high school, college, today in their jobs. They don't have the stomach. They don't have the fortitude, the perseverance, the determination. But we must. I believe that there are enough of us strong Christian men that will demand this country be brought back to her founding. Do I think that's 50 million? No. I think there are a few million. And inside of those million will be maybe a million, maybe 500,000 strong, determined men that know how to fight, know how to fire a firearm, know how to use a knife, know how to use their tongue. But I do believe what Mr. Dale just said, that many people will just have to be, their weapon will just be speaking the truth and standing strong. However, history just does not say that. History does not show us that we're just going to have discussions. If we were just going to have discussions, then Thomas Jefferson and Adams would have been considered the greatest presidents we've ever had. High intellect, beyond anything that we see today. Superior intellect. They weren't going to go fight and kill people. that had to fall on the lap of General George Washington. This is what I say. I love Tucker Carlson. I love, at times, I think Glenn Beck has obviously created something that is powerful. I don't believe in everything that he says or does. However, I have to acknowledge success when I see it, and he has a platform and he has a strong voice. But men like that are not going to fight the war. They're just not going to fight the war. Maybe Tucker Carlson. I'm just looking at this. I believe Tucker Carlson would take up arms and go to war. But I believe people like Glenn Beck, etc., they're physically unfit to go to war. And if you think we're going to get out of this, you think we're going to get out of this cesspool of morality, this valley of darkness, you think we're going to get out of the valley of men can have babies, we're mutilating our children, we've killed over 61 million babies, we're actually clapping, women are clapping that they have the ability to kill their babies right at the womb, right at the vaginal canal, excuse me, and they can just kill whenever they want. You think that we're getting out of that by we're just going to shake hands and say, okay, it looks like it's our turn? You really think that's going to happen? Or do you think Satan's going to put a fight that you have never seen before? Satan is going to fight us to the end. We know as Christians, we know who wins. But God never said, well, the end's going to come, but don't worry, everything's going to be peaceful all the way to the end. He doesn't say that. There's going to be tribulations. There's going to be pain and suffering. There's no way, there's no escaping this. And I think that is the most powerful thing that I believe. If I had my platform got so big that I was able to speak directly to millions of men, my message would be broad, and yet it'd be very specific. And it really comes down to this. You don't have a choice in this matter. The die has been cast, my friends. The lines in the battlefield have been drawn. The enemy has their regiments lined up and ready to go to war. They've been banging the drums for us to come onto the battlefield for a very, very long time. You have no choice. I talk about that story of the man sitting on his porch with his wife and his kids playing board games and watching TV and hanging out. They just had a big meal. He's sitting on his porch, and everything he loves is behind him. Everything, his house, his land, everything, his country, and the savages come all the way up to his property line, and they demand him to come to war. And he continues to say, please leave me alone. Please leave me alone. And they burn his barn. They torch his land. They kill his wife. They traffic his children. They burn his house to the ground. And he's standing in the ruins of his life. And the man has no options left. And he stares at the battlefield and he goes into it. But he doesn't limp into it. He doesn't go in there with fear or trepidation. In fact, because that man's life has been murdered, killed, he has nothing to fear. In fact, he's inviting death. He wants death because the pain that he's feeling, the loss that he is feeling, his life has been taken from him and he cares no more. And he's going to go headfirst into this war, and he is going to be an animal because he's going to want revenge at a level, a depth that you stupid, vile transgenders, you vile LGBTQ, you vile atheist, you vile anti-Americans, you illegal aliens, you legal immigrants that hate our country, all of you are going to pay a severe price. And you will be on your knees and you will be begging for mercy from men like the one I just described. And he's going to show you no mercy. And he's going to kill you without hesitation. And everything around you, he's going to destroy. I don't want to get to that point. But everything says we are. Everything. The title of my show, Where Are the American Men? Honestly, where the hell are you? I know you're out there. I hear from you. I see you in my DMs. I read your emails you send to me. I have friends that are ready to go to war. Ready to go to war. That's not hyperbole. That's not, well, this is kind of like figuratively. No. I have friends that are ready to go to war. And I have said this on my show many times, and I'm going to say it again because it bears to be repeated. One day in the very near future, a man will rise up within the ranks of the American men, and he'll galvanize us all. And we're going to fall into line, and we're going to be well-trained militia that our founding fathers told us that we must have. And when that happens, no mercy is going to be shown. I'm looking at this from a historical perspective. I'm looking at this from the lens of humanity, of the way humans react. And I'm seeing Americans being pushed all the way to the far corners of the earth. Legal and illegal immigrants are running our country, both in Congress, in the Senate, in state and local governments, and in our neighborhoods. It's no longer in faraway places. It's right there in your neighborhoods, attacking our cops, killing our women, killing our children. I challenge you. I challenge you to go into Google, and I hate Google. Go to X. Go into the search engine and type illegal alien murders and killings of children and women and men, and see one article, one video, one discussion after another, to the tunes of tens of thousands. And then maybe you will begin to understand the magnitude of what I'm talking about. We do not live in a republic anymore. We live in some quasi-democracy, puppet monarchy. The people that are in positions of power are not in power. They have been all compromised. I'm just going to go down my list. I have a list of videos that I want to show because I think it's important to hear what other men have to say. I want to hear these men.
People just want to stick their head in the sand and pretend that everything's going to be okay. Because we haven't had this strife, we haven't had these adverse tasks that we've had to accomplish or overcome. I watched the Patriot, Mel Gibson movie the other day, and it's so as I get older, I actually see the inspiration in the movie rather than just thinking it's a cool movie as a kid. Right now, as an adult, I'm like, wow, I actually see that Mel Gibson is centering this around Christ, around the American Revolution, around these principles, these values, I don't want to have to go to war, but if you push me to the point where where my family, you're literally seizing my land, burning my house, and killing my family, guess what? I'm coming after you. It's done. The gloves are off. Good night. And it's like, we've never had to deal with something like that. We've never had to deal with anything like that. So we're so comfy and cozy in this little comfortable shell that we've built in America, that people are soft.
Yeah, people are soft. But he's right. He's right in the way that we've never had that type of Mel Gibson Patriot moment our founding fathers had. But I would disagree on one level. We are seeing it now. It's just not in a conventional line it up and we're going to go to war with you. This is like a moving target. It's against our own people too. And it's against the people that we allowed into our country. And he's right. And I love this point that he makes about Mel Gibson. If you ever have not seen The Patriot, I implore you to go rent it. Because Mel Gibson goes to war for simply the same thing I'm talking about. Because he doesn't want his sons to have to go to war. Because he knows when his sons go to war, the probability of them getting killed, maimed, or psychologically destroyed is about 100%. My son's 14. He's got less than 4 years. I have to sign him up, or he has to sign himself up for the selective service. That he's ready to go to war. And let's be very clear. When you're 18 years old, you're not ready to go to war. You're not a man. You're not a man. I don't care what kind of basic training you go through. I don't care how we're going to craft you into something. You're not a man. You're not a man. And when you watch that movie with Mel Gibson, his boys were that 18 age, had some younger kids, but his oldest son, played by, I think, Heath Ledger, the late Heath Ledger, was about 18-ish. He wasn't ready. No one's ready for war, but at 18, you're not. You're not a man. A man is in his late 20s, early 30s. That's when you become a man, into your 40s and 50s, and you're growing the whole time. I absolutely do not want my son going to war. I want me to go to war. But he's going to have to. This is going to transcend my generation. To my son and that generation, that Gen Z down to Gen Alpha, he's right in the middle, like right on the last year. My words to them is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that we didn't do what needed to be done, and it's going to be sloughed off onto you. And I'm going to have to sit here and watch it go, as an old man, watch you have to struggle and fight through this. Or maybe your children, my grandchildren. There is a call right now. There is a massive call. It's already gone into mainstream. It's not whispers anymore. It's a call to a revolution in the United States of America. And it's a call, a loud call to men. And I have said this before, and I will say it over and over again. This will not be a civil war. I've come to that conclusion. It will be a revolution, and it will be a revolution that is centered and driven and powered by God. It will be a spiritual awakening. You cannot go as far as we have gone to one side of insanity. Men can have babies. Boys and men can play in our women's sports. Just a side note, I watched my sister coaches basketball in California high school, and my niece, they're in the playoffs. My niece, they kick the ball around, the clock's winding down to the last seconds, and they kick it to my niece. She's already got Division I scholarship offers. She's only a sophomore, and she drains a three to win the game. And as I'm going through that video, and I'm so proud of her, and I'm sending her, well wishes and congratulations text wise. I sat there in my car and I thought, can you believe there's boys and women's sports taking that moment from my niece and young women like that, taking those incredible life building blocks where you did something great in a moment of pressure. And that translates to my young niece going to be a mother and going through the hard times of motherhood and in marriage. Those are the building blocks of life, and we're stripping them away because men in America sat by. Listen to what I'm saying. Men in America stood by and allowed mental patients to go into our sports, our girls' sports, and take away all of that from them. The dads did that. The dads that puff their chest out and say, I will always protect my daughters. You didn't protect your daughters. We didn't protect our daughters. We let mental patients just walk all over them. Dear God, America. We're going to answer for this one way or the other. I got my weekly Friday guest on. He's standing by. And it's my sponsor. And I love my sponsor because I believe in my sponsor. And I've said this many, many times. You may not see how I see things through my lens, and I get it. However, I see clearly what I need and why I need it. You don't have to look like I do and see things as I do. I've been in law enforcement and I just see things different, just different. It's funny. My wife says that she goes, you're seeing something. Yep. Don't worry about it. I got it, honey. And like my son said the other day, because my son has an incredible way to mimic and do impressions. And my wife said, can you do a impression of your dad? And he did me spot on, but he did me looking around. He says, Dad's always looking around. Dad's always looking around. Yeah, because there's danger. And one thing that's happened in the last, a week now, less than a week, major blizzard tore through the Northeast. Was everyone prepared? I don't know. That's why I partner with Sat 123. And that's why I bring Chris on, because I want him to talk about the products they have to make you prepared. Chris, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, mate. Good to see you on this nice Friday here in Denver.
Hey, I tell you what, in Kansas City, it's like 60-something degrees today. It's pretty good, but that can change. We've been freezing our little buns off like crazy. But did you see any of the blizzard that came through and just dumped snow all over the Northeast?
Yeah, I did. And, it's very clear that an awful lot of people weren't prepared for that. Look, it's not that normal. But that's the thing. It doesn't matter what's normal or what happened last year or the year before. Yeah. You need to be prepared for what might happen this year. And what's so predictable about this, mate, is that, whether or not the lines come down because of snow and ice, what does happen every time, and this time is no exception, is the power grid gets affected. And as we've talked about many times before, if the power grid goes down, everything else goes down with it. That's internet, that's cellular communications, you name it. Everything relies on the power grid. And this time is no different, unfortunately.
What would you say if I said, I always tell people to go to your website, it's sat123.com. And I say, just look, I'm not even saying go buy anything. I said, this is what I purchased, but I want you just to go look. If people are hearing, okay, there's a blizzard coming, there's an earthquake, there's a tornadoes in Tornado Alley, and I said to them, just go look. What would you suggest as your prepared, I call it being prepared bag? What would you put in that big bag of preparedness?
Well, it's a great question. The number one thing is always a satellite phone. Look, if you are not able to communicate in an emergency and a disaster, you are literally dead in the water. You and I have seen it numerous times over our careers. People just didn't have a way to reach out and get assistance from emergency services, and they died as a result. And it can happen. Look, and it can be the nicest day in the world. You're off here hiking off the trail in the mountains in Colorado, no cell service. You have an accident, you can't reach out, and that's the end of it. Unfortunately, this happens all the time. It's not just these terrible snowstorms and so on, but look, you have to be prepared. Whether it's a snowstorm, a wildfire, a terrorist attack, it doesn't really matter. They all result in the same thing. That's the loss of power. It's the loss of communications. Your cell phone is basically a worthless brick. You're not going to have internet access. You're not going to have power. So the two things I would say that people should always have is one, a sat phone at sat123.com/JJ. They are free as ever with activation. That's $1,000 plus saving. No one else will give you that. And then you can pick up a small generator, solar powered portable generator, starting from as little as a few $100, all the way up to bigger units that will power your house day after day, day in, day out. But power and communications, those are lifesavers. And I think I'm sure you would agree, given your long career in law enforcement, mate.
No, I do agree. And one thing that I want to impress upon people, when there is a massive man-made or even just a winter storm, and there is a section, a group of an area, geographic area that's under siege, man-made or not, they will jam. They will jam all of the cell towers, and they will concentrate everything to law enforcement. So even if you're like, oh, no, I'm in the city, I'm covered. No, you're not. They're going to jam all the cell towers, and they're going to focus in on law enforcement, and we'll be the only ones getting in and getting out. Have you heard of that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because obviously law enforcement comes first, emergency services come first, and the government or state, local, federal government's going to take control of that, and they're going to lock you out to make sure their people can get through. So you don't want to be affected by that. Satellite phones, do not rely on any kind of cell towers or local power of any kind whatsoever, which is why a lot of people in law enforcement, U.S. military have relied upon these things for 30 plus years, because it doesn't matter. They know they go places where they cannot guarantee any kind of cell service, any power, any internet access, but they need to communicate. So they take the sat phones with them. So I always want what they have. And that's what we provide at Sat 123, mate.
Well, if I was back in the Border Patrol working the California corridor and the Arizona corridor, where we were just in the middle of absolutely nowhere, that would be something that I would have in my we call it tricky bag, in my toolbox every single day. I would never leave without that. But Chris, the last thing I want to talk to you about, and I'm always pushing this product because to me, maybe it's not the most important product, say, or maybe the most demand product that you carry. But for me personally, it is extremely important because I see all the school shootings. I see the shootings at malls. I see the shootings at parks. And that is the ballistic backpack. My son, my wife, and I have them. And it's not going to stop everything, but it's going to give my family a fighting chance. Or if my son, God forbid, gets in a school shooting and he gets shot, maybe, and not maybe, he would be able to cover his head and extremity and the main part of his body, the organs. Maybe his extremities get shot, but we can live. We can live another day. So I would like to end with this: is just talk to my audience about the ballistic backpack, because I believe it's the most important product you have for me, as I see things through my law enforcement lens.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And it's very smart, mate. Of course, look, we always think and pray and hope it won't happen to us or our kids. But the reality is we can't guarantee that. Those decisions are out of our hands. So the number one thing we can do is provide our kids, like you said, a fighting chance if, God forbid, they end up in an active shooter situation, whether it's at school or the mall or at the movies. It doesn't matter. These things happen everywhere. But what we noticed many years back was that every time we saw this terrible footage of these school shootings, these active shooter situations, the one thing that absolutely everyone seemed to be carrying was a backpack. So why not make that backpack a little more useful than just something to hold around your books and your stuff? So for just these things, we price them out at $199, right? Which is maybe a little bit more than the cheapest one you could get, but a lot of people are spending $200-300 on backpacks that do nothing more than carry books. So these backpacks are built to last. We built them in conjunction with our friends in law enforcement and in special ops, to make sure that they actually work, they're solid. And like I said, there's no such thing as something that can protect you from any kind of ammunition, but this will give you a fighting chance, a real chance of survival. And when you hear about that, God forbid you hear, on the radio, the TV, that there is an active shooter at a school where your children are at, the peace of mind you're going to get from knowing that they have something that could save them, even in the worst case scenario. That's got to be something. And that's why we make this product. It's not a big, huge money maker for us, but it is something we're really proud of. And we've sold thousands of these things in the last couple of years. And we know that everyone who's carrying these around, has a better chance of surviving than every other kid in that situation. So yeah, at sat123.com/JJ, just search backpack. I think they're right on the front page, $199. These things are tested by the NIJ, certified up to level 3A. That means they can stop an awful lot of ammunition, a shotgun blast, up to a 44 Magnum handgun, and 9mm automatic weapons fire. So these things are very real, and we appreciate you talking about them, mate. It's a very important product that every parent should know about.
Thank you, Chris. We'll see you next week. I hope you get dumped on. A lot of snow and you get stuck. And I hope I get all the sunshine comes on this side, stays on this side of the Rockies. All right, my friend. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time always, Chris.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Take care, man. All right. Cheers. Chris from sat123.com/JJ. Great guy. Great company. Great product. Just incredible all the way around. All the way around. and I'm going to just pitch. I'm going to pitch because I want to. My son is, well, he's my world. He's my absolute world. But when I talk about my son and his backpack, I want you to understand every single year is a new backpack, except these last 2 years. Same backpack. And my son is brutal. Sports, skateboarding, he's a thrasher. Not like he doesn't take care of his stuff. No, he's very particular about his things, but it's a teenage boy. No rips, no tears. It's the same. And it looks, you have no idea it's a ballistic backpack. No one in the school would know unless he bragged about it to everyone. Go to sat123.com/JJ. Just as I always say, just go on there. Just look at it and see if you like it. I want to stay on this topic the rest of the show, and that is the need for men, the absolute need for American men to stand up. And one of the places that we need to stand up is to our women. We have been emasculated. And when you emasculate men and they become more feminized, then this is called God's natural order. We're going against God's natural order. So there is a vacuum, a void that is opened against God's natural order. So who's going to fill it? Masculine women. And now we're completely upside down. And now we're going to have to regain our place in this planet. And it's not going to be easy, and it's not going to be pleasant. Listen to this man.
I believe that women are disproportionately, as a sex, disproportionately destroying this country. And I also believe that it is enabled by weak men. So I want to be very clear. I'm not attacking women. I'm attacking both sexes. But we attack men, and rightly so, all the time for excessive aggression, violence, sexual predation, as we should. But we never, ever criticize women for their errors, for their sex-specific flaws, which are largely uncontrolled, uncontained emotion, which explodes and leaks out into horribly destructive areas, such as the sexual mutilation and hormonal castration of young children, most of whom are girls, and most of which is led by women therapists, women teachers, women surgeons, women clinical directors, women politicians, women legislators. Even mothers in families are largely driving this, not men, not fathers. Of course, the fathers, they're just standing around letting it happen. So I'm not saying that they're guiltless or blameless, but I'm saying they're not stepping up. And we need strong, ethical men to stand up and to contain the excesses of what I would call toxic femininity. And we have lost that balance in our society. And if we don't get it back, we are gonna fall as a nation. We are already teetering. And we are very close to the precipice. So our problems today, we could say, the political divide, a lot of politics. Politics is a symptom of an underlying problem.
I don't think he's wrong. And if you think about it, we've all heard the term toxic masculinity a ton, but we haven't heard toxic femininity near as much. And like he said, this isn't necessarily an attack on women. I'd say it's more an observation of reality. But I mean, it's calling out both. Like he said, a lot of men are just standing by letting this happen.
Yes, a lot of men are just standing by and letting it happen, are letting their insane wives castrate their children, rip their children's breast off, starting as young as 2 or 3 years old, putting them in different sexes' clothes, and then talking to them like they're girls or boys or animals. Because where the hell were the men? Where were the fathers? If you have to divorce that woman and you spend every last dime you have getting custody, you do what you got to do. You do what you have to do. We are at an imbalance, as that gentleman that was saying. And this guy right here, his name's Jeffrey Mead. At Jeffrey Mead, you need to go and hit his X feed. It's incredible. It's great X feed. But the guy he showed is absolutely 100% correct. We're imbalanced. We're off center. We have masculine women driving the households of effeminate, feminized men. Happy life, happy wife, happy life. F that. Are you insane? Look what we've been propagandized. You don't think we've been propagandized? Go back to the 80s and 90s, 2000s, even all the way up to today. Name me a sitcom. Name me some kind of show, reality show, cartoons where the husband's not a buffoon, a big fat slob that doesn't even know how to match his socks. He's a moron. You know what? When I grew up, all my dad and all my uncles, there was no jackasses in my life. So when I watch these sitcoms and stuff, I'm like, who are these men? I've never been around men like this. I've just been around alpha males, men that didn't beat their wives or like a tyrannical tyrant. No, just strong men that knew their place and their wives knew theirs, and their wives were excited and happy to be in a life like that, where there were defined roles, where there's respect and love and dignity. Do we have that anymore? Do we honestly have that anymore? The answer is no. And one of the reasons why, and I'm going to show you this gentleman who I really like. X is great because X brings on incredible people that just know. They're just experts. And I don't have to listen to talking heads on cable TV that I have no respect for. This is Brett Pike. You want to listen to a man that is highly intelligent and understands not the problem. He understands how we got to the problem. And there's a solution.
Why aren't men who abandon their families thrown in jail? Which is a question that this account had for people who oppose abortion. But what she didn't realize is that they used to be, because America had something called abandonment laws. And a man leaving his family was a crime. Because in traditional Christian America, laws were in place to incentivize families staying together. In fact, in the 1950s, it was illegal for a non-married couple to even book a hotel room together because it was understood that sex came with personal responsibility. And broken homes would lead to broken children and a tax burden on society. So America's morality, its culture, and its laws were all designed to incentivize family. But then you had the birth of feminism, the sexual revolution, the rise of progressivism, which all comes from cultural Marxism. And it wasn't long before Hollywood started depicting marriage as oppression and repeating time and time again that women are held back by the patriarchy. This became the message in television, in music, taught to children in schools. If you're unhappy, then you need to leave. Don't worry about the children, the tax burden on society, and the impact that this would have on society. And then in 1969, California Governor Ronald Reagan introduced no-fault divorce. The rest of the country would quickly follow, and this would really incentivize broken families. You get money from your ex, money from the government, free time from the kids, and in many circumstances, you make more money by keeping a man out of the house. Whereas before no-fault divorce, you had to prove adultery, willful desertion, cruelty, habitual drunkenness, non-support, imprisonment. So the incentives were to promote family, have two parents raise kids, and have families not become a burden on the taxpayer. But with no-fault divorce, the incentives became broken families and government dependence. And the results of this have been undeniable. Children raised without a father in the home are at much higher risk for negative outcomes. And that is 1 in 4 children in America. But hey, girl, you're not happy. You gotta leave. So to answer your question, Christian America has always wanted family to be about responsibility. And for the first 150 years, 175 years, America was a country, laws were in place across the board to reflect this standard of morality. But now we're a half a century plus into trying something else. And let me ask you, how is that working out? Check out my private homeschool community. And
this guy's great. Brett Pike, Pike. Everything that's happening today has not always been there. It's not always been this moral cesspool. It's like going and looking at blacks in the inner city and like, man, they're killing each other and singing dirty music, rap music. And yeah, it's always been that way. No, it's not. No, it's not. Oh, we've always had divorce and infidelity and illegitimate children. No, actually we haven't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. Well, we used to always kill each other the way we do. We always mutilated children. We were always oppressive to women. No, actually, this is a phenomenon. This is a exception. It's not the rule. Look at what Mr. Pike said. It's not as if men like me and him and the guy that I just showed you and Jeffrey Mead's post. It's not like we're saying, "Hey, we're ringing the bell and this is going to happen. This is what our beliefs are. We need to really be a strong Christian nation and then strong Christian family." Yeah, because bad things will happen. No, we don't have to say any of that. All we have to say is, go out your front door and look at America. Is it better? Are more people happy? Are the children walking to school every day that just has one mom or one dad or two dads and two moms, and they're splitting up and they have all these combined families? It's working out real well, isn't it? Study after study after study after study says no. Everything we're living through today, the culmination of mental illness, the culmination of anti-God, of multiculturalism, of diversity is our strength, of we don't need men in the household, men are toxic. All that is showing to be a lie. We're living in the lie. And sometimes you have to stop people and say, can you just stop talking? Or can you stop looking at your phone? Can you just stop and look at your life? You're unhappy, aren't you? Yes, I am. Well, why are you unhappy? Well, I'm alone. I can't see my kids. I only get them 2 days a week. Or a woman that has 3 kids. I'm struggling because my deadbeat husband just took off. Because society said it's okay. You deadbeat dad. Society said, hey, guess what? You're living the best life is the most important thing. It's not your kids. Or the woman, the mom that becomes, hey, you know what? I got married, quote, young, so I didn't get a chance to whore around. So I'm going to go whore around. And your kids they've been like in a war because they've had a death, and it doesn't make sense, and they're freaked out. Now they're in school having big problems, lashing out. But this is by the millions. This isn't just little Johnny screwed up. Little Johnny times a million little Johnnies are screwing up. Why? Because the American man allowed our nation to fall into ruins, into intellectual despair. People that were evil people with evil thoughts and evil beliefs. This isn't just, hey, JJ's a Christian and he believes this. This is empirical data. These are organizations that followed for decades people, and shown how divorce and infidelity and drug use and transgender and gay families and mixed families and blah blah blah, they come back and say, yeah, it's an absolute 100% negative in their lives. Whoa. And what feminism has done has caused an absolute decrease in our children, our childbirth. And what was our as Christian men, what do we let our leaders do? Well, let's bring in our replacements. Why not? Why not?
What about the original Republican idea from the 1850s about a healthy civil society, about now what we would call values and culture and family? What credit we give to Donald Trump, who yesterday or the day prior said, we have a terrible problem in the West, a declining marriage rate, a declining birth rate. There are some on the left, some on the right who say, let's just allow more immigrants in. Nothing against them as human persons. I'm a serious Roman Catholic. I love everybody. But we also have an obligation to our people first so that we can protect the very society that is so appealing for immigrants to migrate to in the first place. That is the classic Republican Party platform of the 1850s, but particularly in 1860, when one Abraham Lincoln stood and said, we stand for free soil, free labor, free men. It was his way of saying, as Donald Trump would say today, let's go reignite the American dream and live the golden age.
The American dream, gone. Gone. Don't even argue with me about it. Don't say, oh, you're black pilling. No, don't even start. It's gone. You know it as well as I do. You can play this BS game all you want. And why did we allow this to happen? Why did the American dream die? Well, you have 100 million plus legal and illegal immigrants in a nation. So we have infrastructure, housing, school, medicine, jobs for 350 million people, but you have 450 million people in your country because the American man, sat back and let traitors, corrupt bastards, our founding fathers, our American men would have already stacked bodies in the streets of America, stacked them high for the whole nation to see. This is what traitors do. This is what happens when you're a traitor. This is someone I'm going to show you right now that I've been on. He's been on my show before, been on my, as I've shown his clips before, I should say. Andrew Branca, smart man, a lawyer. Listen when he talks about what we've allowed to have happen. What we, and when I mean we, I'm not talking about the women. I'm talking about you American men. Look what we've allowed to have happen to our country.
And these migrants never get off the welfare. You have to understand they come from a third world culture. They don't have a Protestant work ethic. They're not like us. They'll never be like us, especially when you bring them over in substantial numbers and allow them to set up their own ethnic enclaves. They retain their culture. Their children retain their culture. Their grandchildren retain their culture. And their culture is, well, if you're going to hand out money, we're going to take it. Immigration welfare is multi-generational. Children and grandchildren, immigrants, look at this, Hispanic immigrants, 70% on welfare. Second generation, 54%. Third generation, 53%. Why? Why do we allow this multi-generational looting? They have plenty of kids, don't they? As this account notes, so basically we, white people, work our asses off and do without, make sacrifices so we can support non-citizens that pay little or nothing into the system. Outrageous. This account, the constitutionalist, writes, I'll say it, we're over a year into the Trump administration, and I want to acknowledge this frustration because it's real and it's deserved. We are over a year into the Trump administration, 47, and non-citizens are still getting Social Security numbers, driver's licenses, and CDLs, commercial driver's licenses. The country is still being flooded with undocumented foreigners who are robbing us blind, getting U.S. citizen benefits, voting, and obliterating our sovereignty. DOJ audited half of this, and it was ignored. The rest hasn't even begun to be audited. It was the mandate of this administration, the priority. I don't know how anyone isn't sick of the takeover and takedown. Replacement. We're being replaced. I'm pissed. Federal laws aren't even being enforced in a nation of laws. And these are the numbers for estimated current number of undocumented immigrants in the United States. And they're saying,
being replaced. And we're being replaced because the American man allowed it to happen. Allowed it to happen. Let me show you a clip. This is This is Minnesota. And I want to show this clip because this is a man that's fighting for his life, his house. Why? Because the whole entire neighborhood has been overrun by Somali legal and illegal immigrant savages, people with the IQ below 70. They're mentally retarded. They have misshapen heads because their families are incestuous.
Shit, I just get them out of here. Make America great again. I'm John Fitzgerald, and I am a MAGA. Make America great again. Get them the hell out of here. Get them the hell out of here.
You hear the way these guys are talking to him.
Yeah, no, I want them gone. I want them out of here. They are the most unfriendly. We live right across the street from them. And there's been times where this whole cul-de-sac has been completely lined with Mercedes, BMWs.
This is how they talk. Second generation.
Why are we allowing third world savages to change and dictate our lives? That man had to put his house up for sale. Couldn't take anymore. They're running us out of our houses. Why are we allowing this? Because we're gutless, because we have no leadership. Maybe that's the biggest thing. That it is right, because I just had this conversation with my wife. We have no leadership. There's no strong male leadership in our country. And I'm talking about a young, vibrant, articulate, pissed off man. Where are they? They're not here. I'm going to show you something happened yesterday in in Missouri. And I work in Missouri. This is a Somali with a fraudulent CDL driving the wrong way for a long, long while. But we deserve this because we allowed this to happen. We allowed illegal savages to take our jobs. We allowed criminal politicians that allowed this to happen. And we've done nothing because we are gutless.
How much of a winning issue it is.
18-wheeler going the wrong way down southbound 61.
As you watch this, I want you to understand that guy taking the video back, the Somali videotaping him back. Do you know that he's the driver? So he's self-driving, or allowing that, and look at that truck. You think that truck's like, they just bought it like last year? So it has self-driving? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
He is on the northbound lanes of 61 going the wrong way. You can see I'm going southbound on 61. He's in the northbound lanes on Highway 61.
They have IQ of a small dog. And we're giving them CDLs. I saw this. I'm going to prep this real quick. Because what this young man, this is at a Charlie Kirk event before he died, Turning Point. I want you to listen to this young man. And I want you to understand that there are millions and millions and millions of American men that are right where this young man is. And for all of you people that hate America, all of you illegal and legal immigrants that suck off us, there's an army of us. And we're past the limit. And I know that a lot of you are functionally retarded. Pick up a book called World History and see what men like us do when we've had it. Listen to this question, Charlie Kirk. And it's powerful. 22 seconds of power.
At this point, we're living under a corporate and medical fascism. This is tyranny. When do we get to use the guns? No, and I'm not, that's not a joke. I'm not saying it like that. I mean, literally, where's the line? How many elections are they going to steal before we kill these people?
So, no,
I want you to hear that again, because it's a righteous question, righteous anger. And it doesn't matter if you, like me, I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen. It doesn't matter what I want, what I desire. Intellectually, you look at what's happening in America, there is no other explanation of what the manifestation is going to happen. What is this going to create? Well, it's going to create a revolution. It's going to create a revolution. You don't have to want the revolution to happen. You don't have to even want to partake in it. It doesn't matter. It's happening. It's like being outside and you're like, damn it, I wish the sun would come out. And I wish it wasn't freezing cold. And I wish it wasn't January and it was snowing. I want it to stop. You can't do anything about it. It's freezing in January and it's snowing. That's the way it's going to be. If we continue down this road, there will be a revolution and it will be violent and our country will never, ever be the same. Listen to this man again.
At this point, we're living under a corporate and medical fascism. This is tyranny. When do we get to use the guns? No, and I'm not, that's not a joke. I'm not saying it like that. I mean, literally, where's the line? How many elections are they going to steal before we kill these people?
so no.
How many more elections? How many more fraudulent stealing of our $40 trillion? How many more times are we going to watch them pour tens of millions of illegal aliens from third world shitholes into our country before we kill them? Pretty reasonable question, if you ask me. And what does all this look like? What needs to happen to stop this? Here's Andy Frisella, who I like. I like listening to him. He has a great idea. 35 seconds.
The truth of the matter is we shouldn't be trusting anybody, and we should be preparing as if we're all on our own. That's how we should be behaving. And the people of this country should come together and unite and act as if it's all of them until it is proven otherwise. That means we have to become personally excellent. We've got to get fit. We've got to get smart. We've got to make some money. We have to organize with other like-minded people in our communities. No one person can do this for everybody, and we have to fucking come together in order to take back what was always supposed to be ours. The truth.
Take back what was always supposed to be ours. And it's going to take a group of people. Our founding fathers told us there will come a time where you will have to get a militia and you're going to have to take your country back. And if we don't correct these ills, I'm going to show you a video of Sweden in 1939 compared to Sweden today. And I want you to understand, they had almost a 99% white population 50 years ago. Sound familiar? We're going to get the same to us if we don't act. Watch this. Honest question. The only question that needs to be asked. Which one of those worlds do you want to live in? You're going to have to make a choice. where the choice is going to be made for you.